family has to go on. His name is Aiden Clune. He's been missing now for a year and a half. He left his pickup truck on the side of a Nevada highway and then he ran off into the wilderness. No one knows why he took off. His mom says he may have been having a mental crisis, but she has not given up hope that he made it out of it.
Since I fell down this rabbit hole, I love you so, but I had to go to find something of my own. I see their pattern on my mind, anxious designs of the darkest kind, piece together coolest blue to paint a portrait to capture. Follow you into the dark, 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 follow you into the dark. Follow the deer to follow the owl. I'm fighting to save my legs and bow. I cannot feel you're by my side, even in this place inside my mind. I see patterns in my mind, anxious designs of the darkest kind, piece together coolest blue to paint a portrait to capture you. Calling secrets from your crystal heart. Share my story, tear every page apart. Inside is when you left your heart. Burn away the shadows and strike us apart. Follow you to the dark, 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 follow you to the
What's up, mob crew? Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We just made it back. Hold on, I need to pause this right there. Perfect. All right, let me minimize that. Welcome everybody. Let me just move that over. Can you guys hear me okay? Let me make sure my audio's on. Perfect. All right, yeah, so we just got back searching for Aiden Clune. We covered a lot of ground. Last time we went out there, I think I spent 3 or 4 days out there. And I feel like in the 2 days that we went out there this weekend, we covered way more ground. I could be wrong, but I think we covered a lot of ground. We don't know if we found Aiden, but because I still got to go over a lot of drone footage. We covered a lot of ground with the drone. Not just the drone, but also just on foot as well. Well, a lot of you guys, I am bushed. I've been trying to go through of course, the drone footage to see if there's anything for the members and Patreons. I'm going to be uploading videos if you'd like to help search. I'm going to play some drone footage as well. But yeah, it was kind of a tough experience going out and doing these searches when you're with the family. It's very emotional, but the family is so welcoming and they are so sweet, and I couldn't say enough good things about them, and that just makes it even harder that you want to find this poor kid, or find out what, if he is out there. There's possibility that he could have made it out. If you're not familiar with the case, I do have other videos. I'll cover just the basics on it. And then as I play some of the drone footage, like I said, it won't be a very long live, maybe like half hour, 45 minutes, because I've got a lot to do still. I got home early yesterday, and then I kind of unpacked everything, and then transferring the drone footage. They're huge files, so I have to transfer them onto my computer, and so that takes a little bit of time. But again, I just want to say thank you to everybody that could support us. Like I said, it means the world to the family. All right, you guys can hear me nice. So yeah, we'll cover his story. Like I said, I've got some drone footage. There's a few things that we had found. There was one certain item, I can't really talk about it right now, that we found. We don't know if it belonged to Aiden or not. But we'll kind of go over where they thought he may have traveled, where his last footprints were, and what we covered over the weekend. Like I said, we covered a lot. Not just with the drone. The drone did amazing. MIA, amazing drone. It worked so good. So happy with that drone. And yeah, so he went missing 2 years. So if you're not familiar with this case, he went missing in April of 2022, the 27th in Wells, Nevada. That is just, let me just kind of zoom out here. So here's Utah. This is where I'm from, Salt Lake City. And he went missing in Wells, Nevada, which is not far from where Dylan Rounds went missing. Here's Lucen here, on the close to the Utah and Nevada border, excuse me. And they both went missing a month apart, which is pretty wild, but they're not connected. But he went missing down in kind of Curry or Wells, and there's this area here where the backstory on it, I'm not going to go too much on the backstory because I have other videos, but the skinny of it is he was traveling from California. He was going to stay with his grandparents in Utah, and he was suffering from some mental health issues. And as he got into Utah, he started kind of getting paranoia. And so then he ended up heading west on I-80 here, which is this interstate right here. And he ended up staying at a hotel just in Wells here, which would have been on the 26th, the night of the 26th. And then on the 27th, early at 9, I think it was like 8 or 9 a.m., he headed out and he went south on 93 here. And then for some reason, and from there, it's if you're heading, I think you can go like 70, 80 miles down there. And from the hotel to there, I think it takes about, kind of depends, about 50 minutes to an hour approximately. And for some reason, he just ended up pulling his truck over to the side here. And here's this Palomino Ridge, excuse me. Not far from that, just pulled his truck over to the side of the freeway or the high interstate, and for some reason wandered off into Palomino Ridge and then into this mountain range here. And they would track him, I think, approximately 10 miles, and he made it far. I mean, it's a long, long ways. It doesn't look that big when you're kind of looking at it on Google Maps or Google Earth, but when you get out there, it really opens your eyes to how vast it is and how far this boy traveled. But apparently he traveled up in here, and they had kind of tracked him for about approximately 10 miles, and then just boom, nothing. Then his family came out in the fall, I believe, of that year. I can't remember. It was either summer or the fall. And when they went out there, they did discover a few more footprints that kind of seemed like he had gotten towards a peak. And I'm going to show you that area. So the one of the areas that we wanted to focus on is, or at least I did anyway, was kind of like one of his last known spots. And so some of that footage you saw earlier or in the video in the beginning is some of that drone footage of that area. If you notice here, this is, they must have had a fire or something. I don't know when this happened. This is the burn. And he kind of traveled just kind of outside of this burn area here. So we took the trail that takes you up into the burn. And his mother had thought maybe when you got up close to the peak, because when you get up there, you can actually see the interstate. And she kind of wondered if he ended up backtracking out and not knowing it at the time, but they took his truck, which the family and everybody is dumbfounded why they would take the truck. A lot of people break down on the interstate and have to, get a ride and then come back the next day, get a part, whatever. They took his truck that day for whatever reason. So if he had made it out, he didn't have a truck to be able to leave. So the family is not happy about that. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and play a little bit so that I can get to chat here.
Right now, his family has to go on. His name is Aiden Clune. He's been missing now for a year and a half. He left his pickup truck on the side of a Nevada highway, and then he ran off into the wilderness. No one knows why he took off. His mom says he may have been having a mental crisis, but she has not given up hope that he made it out of those mountains alive and is somewhere out there.
So this is the area where he had pulled over. And there was a weather station on the other side. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but here is the footage of when the officer had pulled up behind his truck.
He was 19 when his truck was found abandoned by the side of a Nevada highway on April 27, 2022.
They said that the passenger side door was open and his wallet, his clothes and belongings, his laptop were all sitting on the passenger seat.
His mother, frustrated
Thank you so much,
because you
Melissa.
can hear the highway patrol dispatcher say Aiden's name and that he's missing.
The same person under the age of 21.
But there's no immediate search.
All of the law enforcement that I talked to at that time, I told all of them he was having a mental breakdown. He was having some kind of primary psychosis.
So there's Amy. We went out with Amy, her sister Heidi, and her other sister Kelly, who I didn't get to meet. She came out this time. She wasn't able to come out the last time. Very sweet. They're so amazing. And this is just kind of the area that they tracked him, like I said. And we're going to look at the drone footage of the burn and show you guys kind of the last area that one of his footprints were found. But he was kind of tracked going this direction, kind of just outside the burn area and cutting over. It would be west of the burn. And then from there, that's as far as they had tracked him. And then when the family came out later that year, they had found more footprints that had suggested that he was almost kind of doubling back just on the other side of the burn. And so when we went out, as you can see, there's still snow. So this elevation right here, we're at 65,000 to 7,000 feet elevation above sea level. So even though it's like 60s, it's typical desert weather. It'll get hot during the day. Then it'll drop down into the 30s, 20s, just kind of depending on the year. And then, of course, the higher elevation, there's most likely going to be snow until maybe midsummer. It kind of depends. It's the same here in Utah. We're just the same kind of elevation. And sometimes we'll get snow in May or June. Of course, in the higher elevations, up in the mountains, not down in the valley, it'll just kind of turn into sleet or rain. But so it does kind of suck a little bit, because if there is snow and you're trying to search for if he was out there clothing, and it's under a patch of snow, you're going to miss it. But for the most part, a lot of the areas that we were interested in wasn't luckily covered in snow, except for these higher elevations. But just to show you how far, so this is kind of at the tail end of the burn. And he had wandered off. You can see my mouse. Of course, it goes down. Wait for it to come back up here. And this is shooting in 4K. When I transfer it and use the video editor, I had to kind of tone it down because it would be such a big file. So even though it still looks good, it looks better than this when you actually look at the original footage. It's just when I make these videos, it's my computer goes nuts. But let me back it up just a bit so I can show just the area. So if you see these peaks here, this peak right here, this is where one of his last footsteps were located, at least where they had tracked him, the search and rescue, the original time. And that is, like I said, until you actually like pan around and everything, that is kind of close to the peak. I don't think that's like the toppest part of the mountain, because if you go down south, the mountain range does peak up higher. But at least in this area, this is kind of like the highest area, and that's approximately 7,000 feet above sea level. And it's just wild that he had hiked this far into the mountain range. It's wild. And they believe then he doubled back, kind of coming our way, but to the right of the burn. Yeah, they tracked him a good while. And I also got to meet Alex, who was kind of Aiden's mentor. And oh my gosh, we built a amazing relationship out there. He's an amazing guy. And he told me that he used to go hiking with Aiden, so it kind of makes sense that this kid was able to accomplish this kind of feat. And if he was able to make it up this high, and I really pushed the drone, like, I'm so glad I got this drone because I pushed it. I wanted to go up to the peak. Unfortunately, I was kind of at a lower altitude, but I definitely pushed this drone to the limits to where I literally lost transmission. But luckily, these type of drones, if you push it too far where you don't have transmission, it knows it has GPS in it, that it'll literally start just coming back on its own. So there's a part where it loses video for a minute right there, because I had actually pushed it so far that it actually lost transmission. But luckily it started coming back and I got transmission again. So this is just a little bit, if he were to double back, this would be kind of the path he would have taken. So this is obviously what I wanted to focus on. And we got a lot of footage I still need to go over, but it's pretty wild to see. And again, just how vast it is. But the highway is over this horizon here. It's pretty wild. How did they track him? By his footprints. He had a unique shoe on, Nike Air Force. They have this unique peanut shape. And that was almost perfect because
I'm climbing to those last coordinates and finding...
There are a lot of tracks out there, obviously, animal tracks. The biggest worry is mountain lions. The other thing that at least as far as track wise, is elk, any kind of deer, and then hunters go out there as well. This is BLM land, Bureau of Land Management, which means it's public land. So you can go out there, camp for, I don't know, like up to a week. And then, if you want to camp longer, you have to kind of move your camp spot or something. But so there's a lot of public land out here. And then, of course, hunting season, hunters go out there. But for the most part, you will see, if you're going to see tracks, at least as far as human tracks, it would be boots. Because obviously you'd typically want hiking boots out there. So for Aiden, with his Nike Air Force peanut shaped shoe, which looks like this, and notice the peanut shape, and you can see the sole. I mean, these are, as far as if you were wanting to track somebody, these are perfect because, I mean, they are very unique and not something you typically want to go hiking in. You'd obviously want, some kind of hiking boots out there. But, yeah, so they were to track him. And here is one of the tracks. I'm not sure. I think this may have been one that was taken up there close to the burn. And you can see the little circles in the dirt here. And when he was out there, since it was April, and obviously we went out there in April, and as you can see, there's still kind of snow, and you do get a lot of precipitation. And so when he was out there and he gets into those higher elevations with the dirt, it's very soft. And so when he walks, it actually sinks into the ground a bit. And so those footprints will stay, fairly pristine because, they're sunken in and, kind of like walking in mud or, in snow, and you leave these footprints that are much more pristine than if they were just dry. So they were really preserved, so they were able to really track him for a long period of time. But then, of course, for whatever reason, he may have taken off his shoes. They believe he took off his shoes at one point because they had kind of lost his trail fairly into Cottonwood Canyon, which is right here. And they believe when he crossed over, he'd take his shoes off and then put them back on. And so it's probably possible that that's what he did when he was up here. He probably had gotten to a vantage point, maybe saw them tracking him, and so he ended up taking his shoes off, and then they lost the track. But it's amazing what this kid did.
When I turned around on the side of this mountain and looked around, what I saw was directly north was Highway 93. My theory at that point was he did not go southwest. He went northeast. He could see the road.
Good to see you, Lady
Another
M.
trip
I know, me
finding
too.
shoe prints to support their theory.
They're peanut shaped, which means they're tennis shoe. These footsteps were.
I needed a walking. That's so funny you mentioned that, Gil Hurd. I needed a walking stick. Somebody was out there. Quite a few had the walking stick. I didn't, and so here are some of the other footprints that they had taken pictures of. I think these are ones that are from the family. And that's when they went out later that same year of 2022. And you can kind of notice, I know it's a little small, I apologize, but you can kind of tell like the peanut shaped shoe. And then, like I said, it's very unique to see those, because a lot of people have the hiking boots and they're a little bit, they have a unique shape. And so, but the other thing out there, of course, and that it just happens with a lot of these areas out there that are like this, is you're going to come across bones, typically animal bones. But the toughest thing is you'll come across one singular bone. And luckily, I've done enough searches with Dylan Rounds that I've seen the same kind of type of bones a lot that I can usually tell that it's animal, but you do come across a few bones that are separated, and you have to second guess because it's like, what if that was, a bone of Aiden's? It'd be terrible if we didn't, further investigate. So you always, it's really tough when you come across those. And of course, we did this time. And I'd say 99% when we were able to determine that it was animal. But again, it's tough. But here's us actually coming into the burn. And so that peak is what I was talking about, what we flew. I'm just going to turn this down. But this is us in the side-by-side, which was like the Cadillac of all side-by-sides that I got to ride in. Had the air conditioning, had the surround sound stereo. This guy that brought this in, it's pretty amazing. But he took me out there so I could drone certain areas. And like I said, the MIA drone, the people that named that, good name, and it did really amazing. Were the footprints in the cadence of a hiker or someone wandering, perhaps lost? That's a good question, Anna. Yeah, that is a good question. From what I understand is, yeah, I don't know if I'm the right person to answer that, to be honest, or could answer that, really. But that is a great question. That would be a good question to ask the search and rescue that originally tracked him. Yeah, that is actually a really good question. All I can say is that they did track him to these specific areas, and then it's just like poof, his footprints disappeared. So either he took his shoes off again and just kind of wandered, and then they just couldn't pick up his trail again. But again, and not saying this is what happened to him, but there is mountain lions out there. And if anyone's not familiar with mountain lions, they're also called cougars, and they're big, and they're fairly predominant out there. This is what they look like. So, you guys can't see that. Just realized. So, really big cats out there. But, yeah, mountain lions, they typically hang out in caves, in those kind of areas out there. And if they were to track human, they'll sneak up on you and attack you from behind. When we went out there the first time last year, it was me and Heidi, Amy's sister, Aiden Clune's aunt. And we were pretty sure, because we kind of hiked off pretty far up in a certain area. And we were pretty sure that we were getting stalked by a cat, or at least he was telling us. We couldn't see him, but we could sense we were being followed. So she's strapped. I usually come with knives. I'm not a big gun person myself. She had a gun, and I have bear mace as well. But anyway, yeah, we were pretty sure we were getting stalked by a cat that last time we were out there. This time I didn't get a sense that I was being followed by any cats. But again, that would be kind of, if something bad happened, which we don't know for sure, mountain lion would be towards the top, but I think obviously the biggest one would be, the elements. Again, this is desert, and especially in April. During the day, you can get 60, 70, and then just like that, even with the clouds coming over, it'll drop, and then you can get winds that will just, pick up at any time, and it'll feel like 40, and then it'll, 30. It'll drop instantly. But the footage here, again, this was, we're just kind of, that was just kind of around his last known footsteps. here's me out hiking. And so this year, why I said I feel like we did a lot more than we did last year, in my opinion, is we were able to do actual grid searches. We didn't have enough people out there last year to actually do grid searches, like proper grid searches on each side of the road here that goes up into the burn. And so we were able to do that this time, which again was really amazing, because that was something Amy had brought before we went out on the first day. She had gotten a bunch of statistics on missing people and the percentages of what they would do or where people are found. And one of the high statistics is either bodies or someone is found not far off from a trail or a road. And sometimes they stagger that road. And so we would go off like 70, 80 yards each side off the road just to cover that. And that was all the way into the burn. So that was really amazing to kind of, knock out a big portion of that area. And here's me coming across tracks. I'm like, oh gosh. Because that looked like a cat track right there. It almost looked like paw. I'm pretty sure that's just elk, but at first it looked like a paw print. And I'm like, oh gosh. Yeah, we don't know. It's possible. I mean, that's, if you're going out of percentages, if he stayed up there, sadly he didn't have a lot on him. We don't know if he really had anything on him. So yeah, if he didn't come out of that mountain range, yeah, it's, unless he had found somebody or something, he would, would have succumbed to the elements. But again, we don't know for sure. For someone to hike that far up and kind of doing an estimate, if you're wondering, I'll show you guys here in a minute, of approximately how long it would take for him to get up to that last known area. And this is very rough estimate, but I kind of gathered around 8 to 10 hours. And if he started that at like 9:30, 10 a.m., that'd give him till like 6 p.m., maybe 5, 6 p.m., then to get out. So he would have had time to get out. But again, we just don't know, and it's a shame. But again, like I said, I still got a lot of drone footage for the patrons and members. I'll be uploading stuff. And we had found items last year, and we had found something this year. And right now, I can't talk about it. I know I mentioned it. Somebody hates when I mention something that we find and I can't mention it at the time. Maybe there'll be a time that I can mention what I found, but, I have to speak with the family. I only mention it because if it is something, then this search wasn't a total loss. So that's why I do mention that we did possibly find something. Because, again, it's a clue. And the more clues, then they can put together a possible path that he went from his last known location and possible items he had on him, if that makes sense. Because they don't know all the items he had on him. So... Twin Mama, so are there rumors not true about sighting him in town somewhere in the community? So, no, that is true. Were possible sightings in Utah. So if we back out here, of course, we're not far from the Utah, or in Nevada here, but here's Utah. And here's Salt Lake. It's possible he could have doubled back, got onto the freeway. He hitched a ride. They went down I-80. I-80 brings it into Salt Lake, and there was two sightings in Salt Lake that So on the tram, I think, or the tracks. So we have tracks that run north and south, quite a bit of ways from downtown and down south. And there was somebody that had known of Aiden, about Aiden's missing, and they had thought they had recognized him. This kid that was on the tracks, and thought it was Aiden. They took a picture, but it was like of the side of him. So the hair kind of, matched, and the side of the face kind of matched. It wasn't the best picture. Let me see if I can pull it up. I knew somebody was going to ask about that. I should have pulled it up. Aiden Clune sighting. Actually, it's not here. I know where to get it. But yeah, this lady had thought, oh, this looks like Aiden, and took a picture, but it was from the side. And again, it's not the best picture, but it does. He kind of has the hairstyle and everything. And anyway, I'll find that here in just a second. And so there's been that one, and then there's allegedly another one, which I'm trying to think where the sighting was. But anyway, they believe it's possible he had made it back into Salt Lake, and he's kind of living the homeless camp because for some reason, because he was having some mental health crisis before he went missing. But again, it hasn't been confirmed that was him. But yeah, that sighting is true. We just don't know if it was Aiden. Could be just a kid that looked like Aiden from the side. But I believe there has been at least 2 possible sightings. Again, not 100% confirmed. Squeaky Will, he could be anywhere up in the hills, and at this point his body would barely be recognizable, especially from height of drone. His clothing might be the best thing to look for. Yeah, and his clothing, his hoodie, which is probably the biggest article of clothing, is black. Excuse me. Is black, and it has the red Santa Cruz logo on it. Now, if it was out there and had been out there for 2 years, it wouldn't really be black. I don't know. Maybe it'd still be partly black, but it would actually be probably faded brown. But yes, the clothing would probably be the best thing. And of course, when you go out for these searches, I don't have the paper with me right now, but we always go out with all of the pictures of his article of clothing that he had on him. Any items. He had a necklace. There's one other thing I can't think of, but so yeah, we always have a piece of paper and notes of what to look out for. But again, with this drone, I tried to really I didn't do grid searches as much as I did last year, where I kind of just flew. This year, I really tried to. It still stayed in a grid search pattern, but I kind of zigzagged around these trees because obviously there's a lot of trees and I could just easily fly over something. And so this year I kind of really spent a little bit more time because this drone had more battery power and I was able to obviously keep it in the air longer. And so, again, like I said, I'm happy with what we did. And it's still to be determined if there was anything significant found. And again, I've got a lot of drone footage that still needs to be reviewed. And even if I review it once, I could miss something. So again, I'll be uploading stuff for Patreons and members. And you guys can help me research some of this drone footage because there's easily something I could miss. Where's his car? His truck, I think, is back with the family, if I recall. There's one of the searchers there. But again, like I said, we did, in my opinion, we did a lot more this year than we did last year. And I know the family was very grateful to have the people out there helping. Like I said, it really takes a toll on you because you don't want to leave because you almost feel like you failed. But at the end of the day, like I said, just showing up for the family, I can't tell you, it means the world to them. And this was the year, I would say, I not only do I drone, but I do hike and search in all of these searches I've been in. And this year was the most I've hiked because I did the drone thing and then had to wait for the batteries to charge. And I went out with this guy, Ty, who came out, and he's just a beast hiker. I mean, if you need somebody to hike for something, this guy, Ty, is the guy you want. And I had paired up with him, and we went off, and we ended up going what felt like a mile. We went up the ridge, down this valley into this wash, and then we found this bone that looked human. It almost looked like a human bone. It was big. And so we were kind of freaking out. And then we both decided that we needed to do a 360 grid search around this bone to see if we could find any more bones. So we could tell if it was animal or if it's Aiden. And luckily we did that. We kind of circled around this bone. And luckily we found it was an animal. We found the rest of the bones to the animal. But the one singular bone that happened to be sitting out like 50 feet away from the rest of the animal, it was a huge bone. Like I said, you see a lot of the same typical bones, but this one bone was like huge. I'm like, oh my gosh, did we just find Aiden? And then of course we had found it wasn't. It was a deer. I don't know what kind of bone it was, like a leg bone or something, but it was big. I don't know. His father was never really in his life, and I don't know if I want to talk too much about the father, Jane, but his father wasn't really in his life. It was just his mother. And I'll probably just keep it at that. I probably better not touch on that. Someone asked about rattlesnakes. Yeah, this time of year they would be out. If they have rattlesnakes, they like the warmth, and it's April, and sadly, here, let me fast forward. I just realized this is the little intro I did for him. Yeah, it got cold, and the footage you're actually watching too was on the second day because we were just out there for 2 days. This footage is actually on the second day, and it was kind of a bummer because I had saved the drone batteries. Usually what ends up happening is we go out and I'll want to drone a lot of areas and whatever the mother wants. Of course, I always ask her where do you want me to drone? And I do it. And it usually ends up that I towards the end of the day, my drone batteries are dead and there's always one last spot that I want to drone. And the second day I was kind of reserved and was doing more foot searches because I wanted to really drone this area a bunch. And as we got out there, we were good for the first 30 minutes. And then, unfortunately, you'll see here in just a minute, the rain starts coming in and the wind. And sadly, let's see, I'm fast forwarding here real quick. Oops. Oh, this might cut off here. But anyway, it started raining and sleet coming down. Well, it's snow, actually. On the second day, I mean, we still got, for the most part, a full day in, but I feel like it was kind of cut short with the weather, which was kind of a bummer. And wish we could have spent like at least another 2 hours out there. But unfortunately, weather had different plans. Squeak Will, lots of shade and shadows out those trees. They could be lying up underneath them. Yeah, that's why I really, as you can see, I'm really going slow with this particular drone search. Instead of just doing grid searches and flying patterns, I was really just flying not every tree, but anything that like kind of stick out to me, I would kind of spend time on it. Whereas usually I would just kind of fly, unless like 100% there was something I saw on the little monitor, I would stop. But this time I really kind of wanted to spend a lot of time going slow. And again, like I said, it still looks pretty good. But again, when I make it into a movie format, it loses some of its quality, so it's still not the 100% 4K. It's like 720p, but it still looks good. We love the drone, Chris. Thank you again. Thank you guys so much that could donate and participate and help. I know not everybody can, but again, it means the world to these families for us to be able to go out there. I may try to maybe do a 2-search thing where I go out for Gwen Brunel, and then maybe on the way back, I go out and maybe do a day for Aiden Clune again. We'll have to see, but Gwen Brunel will be my next case that I do. She went missing Idaho-Oregon border, which is kind of what northwest of this area. But anyway, I want to get ahead of myself. But that's going to be the next search. And anyway, I have to kind of go past this area, so I could maybe do another search for Aiden this year. I just don't want to make any promises until I know kind of what the situation is. Yes, we have rattlesnakes. It's too cold for them to be out. Yeah, in April for sure. The only thing at this time, like I said, the cougars or mountain lions, whatever, and the ticks. That's why I always wear a hat when I'm out there, but you do get them. I think I don't know if anybody got any ticks this year, but I know last year I think 2 people got ticks. I mean, they were fine. They were able to get them out, but yeah, I don't think anybody got ticks this year, so that was good because a lot of people, like I said, I always wear a hat because when I was younger, I got a tick in my head and it burrowed in, and so I had to go to the doctor, and he gave me one of the most remarkable, unforgettable, painful nuggies I'll never forget in my life. That sucked. But he got it out, so. Yeah, thank you, Anna. Yeah, she went is it Malheur County, Oregon, about 25 miles west of, Idaho. Yep. Pam Jam, so all that stuff happened like just before and during me going out. I know minute details about that case. As far as the bigger picture of the channel, I may dabble into that case maybe tomorrow or something, because I have heard of that case and it sounds pretty wild. I don't want to get off track because this is kind of for Aiden, but yes, I do know minute details about that case, and I know that kind of, with the arrest press conference going on, we may cover that tomorrow. We'll have to see. Yeah, Nuggie. Yeah, like what you give to your little brother. The doctor had poured, I don't know, was it like rubbing alcohol onto a rag or something? I don't know if it was rubbing alcohol or what. He poured onto a rag, and then he gave me the biggest Nuggie, and he got it out. Earthworm, didn't he get a tracker dog? I don't know, Elizabeth. I always try to be careful with collabing with other people. I always try to stay in my lane. And so that's not a knock on Earthworm. Like I said, I just kind of try to do my thing. Yeah, tracker dogs. It's not a bad idea, but it's so vast out there. You really need some solid clues. I mean, yeah, I guess you could go to his last known locations and take some cadaver dogs. I guess that wouldn't be a bad idea. But man, to get up in there, it's not easy. This isn't, with Dylan Round's case, a lot of the places it's just flat land, unless you were up in Bald Eagle Mountain. This area is much different, and so, yeah. Lady M, Chris, I got a family member that went missing in Seattle in 2022, but I'll get that info. Yeah, send it to me. I'm sorry, Lady M, to hear that. I'll be happy to feature them. Earthworm is a lot of drama. Yeah, like I said, other channels, I just stay in my own lane. I don't want to get in the politics of other, if they go out and search, that's amazing. I'll just say that. We don't do the drama. We just want to help. So anyway, I'm sorry. I'm kind of losing my voice. We were shouting Marco Polo, even though we had radios and stuff. We would kind of shout Marco and Polo and stuff. And I don't know. I feel like when I come back from these areas, I get like dry mouth. And so anyway, I still kind of get my voice back. And now I'm losing it again. So I need to take the rest of the day to rest. But I do appreciate everybody coming in, listening to Aiden Clune's story. Again, I'll have a bunch of stuff for the members and Patreons. We covered a lot of ground again. Like I said, I don't want to keep repeating myself. Found some interesting stuff. We found this truck, which is pretty wild out here. Oh, yeah. See, this is where you can see where the snow is coming in. This was literally, if I play it here, you can kind of see the snow coming in. But, yeah, we found this truck just broken down. Been there for who knows how long. It's pretty wild what you'll find in the middle of the desert. And this is in the burn, too. But yeah, it's kind of cool to see that stuff. So, oh, Karen, Include sighting post from News Nation emailed it. Oh yeah, what do you look like? Yeah. I thank you, Karen. Karen's always looking out for me. I love my mods, Jennifer. I know D had to go. Where is that? Is it right here? Hold on, guys. I'm just trying to find the picture. Yeah, so there's the tracks. This is Salt Lake. This is where I live.
Used to live.
Passing him on the city transit, she was able to get a quick image.
And I'm almost 100%, 101% it's him.
So that's the picture. So that's why it's hard. Now, yeah, it does. I mean, here, let me pull up a picture of him just so you guys can see from the side. Especially this one. This one's probably a good one. Again, look at, you guys can see that, like look how the wavy hair kind of comes out. Have a younger face. I mean, it's from the side. You can't go off of much, but the nose. I mean, that's, again, that it's really close, but again, it could still be, hundreds of people, hundreds of kids that look just like him. But still, there's the possibility it could be him. So. Colonel says a cadaver dog. Yeah, and that's obviously what you'd want. Obviously, the scent dog would be no use after that long. Let's see here. Yeah, I think Ty Corbin. Yeah, he was out there. That's the first time I met Ty. Like I said, I don't get in the politics of stuff, but Ty was out there. That's all I'll say. I know Earthworm's been out there. So I mean, if you go out there and search, that's amazing. That's all I'll say. And yeah, Ty was out there, and we paired up at one point, and we hiked quite far. And he's acclimated for that. Because I don't hike all the time, so I wasn't as acclimated, but I made it. I almost thought I was going to die. But yeah, he took me into some deep waters, but he looked out for me, which was amazing because as I was coming back up, I was, like I said, this is my first search of this year, so it's been a while since I've been running around and hiking out in that altitude, so I was kind of beat up a little bit. We call the noogie here in Canada where you rub someone really hard on the head. Yeah, noogie. Yeah, is that name or is that word kind of? We not give nuggies anymore. It's kind of funny. Yeah, that's actually we were talking about that. I think they have, but I'm sure they could always use more. But I do know that if you watch that interview, his mom's been out there, and I'm sure they could probably use a lot more people going around to those homeless camps. But yeah, where Gwen Brunel went, yeah, that would be a much easier. That's why I want to go out there because that one's just that's going to be a lot easier. Especially on the drone because there's not really much trees. If she's down in that little valley, I'd be able to find her. So, yeah. Anyway, guys, yeah, with your knuckle. Yeah, nuggies. Yeah, you give your little brother. But anyway, yeah, that's what the doctor did to me when I had the tick. I grew up camping because that's what you do out here in Utah, or you ski in the winter. And yeah, and my mom cuts hair. And so, of course, when we got back camping, my mom was cutting my hair. And we knew to look for ticks because obviously that's just, And so I think she was cutting my hair and then she noticed that there was a tick. And then, she took me to the doctors and I was really freaked out because I didn't know what was going to go on. I thought I was going to have surgery because I was like 6 or 7, I think. Somewhere around in there, like first, second grade. And yeah, anyway, I was freaked out because I thought they were going to like cut my head open or something because I thought the tick was inside my brain. Anyway, yeah, the doctor just gave me a nuggie that I'll never forget. So it's pretty funny. He is a beast hiking. Holy cow. Like I said, he took me in some deep waters. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he's very acclimated for that that kind of terrain for sure. Yeah, ticks are horrible. Yeah, because they'll just get in and dig into your skin. You can get like Lyme disease or something from them. I'm not sure. I think Lyme disease. So yeah, you don't want ticks. Anyways, guys, Sensei, good to see you. Good to see everybody. I'm sorry. I was trying to get that. Chris, I'm more than happy to assist you with you going over the footage, looking for anything if it helps. Thank you so much, Sensei. Yeah, I'm going to work on the stuff for the Patreons and members. Should hopefully maybe have stuff out either tomorrow or Thursday. I'll be back Wednesday, tomorrow. Maybe we'll cover the mothers. And hopefully I'll be a little bit more rested up and have more energy again. Sorry, guys. I've just been kind of just mentally drained. Mentally and physically drained, obviously. When you come back from this stuff, it's tough, You always want to go out there and give them the closure. Because they're just such an amazing family. Mom believed you had to tickle embedded ticks with a hot needle to make them back out. But we didn't have that ability with dogs. But we don't have that ability with dogs. Oh. Yeah. Yeah, Lyme disease. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. We use lint rollers to make sure on the deer ticks. Lint rollers. Interesting. I mean, I guess that makes sense. That's wild. Huh. All right, guys. I appreciate you. Thank you guys so much for the support. And we'll be back tomorrow. Patreons and members. Videos tomorrow, maybe Thursday. Just kind of depends when I can get everything up. Or I might just release a little bit at a time. That'd probably be easier on me. And again, thank you guys to everybody for the support. It means the world for the families. I could never say that enough. So, all right, guys. Love you. See you tomorrow.